Biography of Ferdowsi. Name al-Qasem Hassan Mansour bin Muhammad bin Ishaq Sharaf Tusi, pen name Ferdowsi, born 329 AH or 940 CE, place of birth village of Paj, Tus, Khorasan. Title Hakimi Sokan, which means the sage of speech, died 411 or 416 AH. Ferdowsi was born in 329 AH, 940 CE, during the reign of the Samanids in the village of Paj, Tus, Khorasan. The village where Ferdowsi was born is now known as Fars, located 28 kilometers from his tomb. His father, Abu Mansur, was a prominent farmer in Khorasan, and his mother, Gorduya Zara, was a princess from Mazandaran named Spardan. In addition to al-Qasem, they had 3 daughters who were well off and enjoying a comfortable life. As a result, Ferdowsi spent his youth and adolescence in ease and comfort. This allowed him to dedicate his youth to studying, and he developed a passion for ancient Iranian myths and legends. Ultimately, he decided to write a vast collection of Iran's mythical stories, beginning this project in 370 or 371 AH. Hakim al-Qasem Ferdowsi's full name is al-Qasem Hassan Mansour bin Muhammad bin Ishaq Sharaf Tusi, but he is commonly known as Ferdowsi. He is recognized as the reviver and savior of Persian literature. At a time when the Persian language was on the verge of being forgotten, he created a masterpiece like the Shahnameh or Book of Kings. As mentioned earlier, Ferdowsi was born in 329 AH in the village of Paj, Tus. He came from a wealthy family and led a comfortable life during his youth and adolescence, allowing him to devote this period to acquiring knowledge. During his studies, he became interested in the ancient myths and legends of Iran and decided to begin writing the Shahnameh. While there is no exact record of when Ferdowsi married, his son was born in 359 AH. He had 1 son and 1 daughter, but he lost his son during his lifetime. Writing the Shahnameh took about 30 years. During these long years, Ferdowsi's wealth dwindled. There is no precise record of when he began writing the Shahnameh, but it is believed to have started between 370 and 371 AH based on available information. After Ferdowsi lost his wealth, several dignitaries from Khorasan helped him finish the Shahnameh. However, during the Ghaznavid period, no one supported him. Because Ferdowsi was a Shiite, Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni disfavored him. Despite the support of literary enthusiasts in Khorasan, he faced many hardships later in his life. There is no precise record of when Ferdowsi died, but according to various accounts, he was about 80 years old and passed away in 397 AH, 411 CE. Hakim Abu-Qasem Ferdowsi, one of the greatest Iranian poets, was born in the 4th century, around 940 CE in Paj, Tus. He left behind the most famous and magnificent Persian poem, the Shahnameh. The Shahnameh is a literary masterpiece and a book that has helped define Iran and the Iranian people for centuries, preserving the Persian language. With over 50,000 couplets, it is the longest poetic work ever written by a single poet or author. The Shahnameh is an epic centered on the essence and spirit of Iran. An interesting aspect of the Shahnameh is that, while Ferdowsi wrote it during ancient Iran, its messages are timeless and can often be interpreted as relevant to humanity. After the Arab invasion of Iran in the 7th century and the fall of the Sasanian Empire, one of the darkest periods in Iranian history began. Under the domination of foreign invaders, the followers of the Zoroastrian religion were persecuted, Libraries were burned and the Persian language was severely suppressed during the 2 centuries of silence. Given that Islamic laws were the new norm, Arabic became the new language of Iran, while Persian, along with Zoroastrianism and Iranian culture, was on the verge of extinction. While some submitted to the invaders and sought a place for themselves in this strange new world, Ferdowsi broke the silence and, through creating his masterpiece Shahnameh, ensured that the Persian language would live forever. Before his time, Khorasan, Ferdowsi's birthplace in northeastern Iran, was the center of popular uprisings against the Arab occupiers. Poets like Rudaki were among the first to write in modern Persian, which had evolved from Middle Persian during the Sassanid era. By the time Ferdowsi began working on the Shahnameh, 2 other versions already existed. The poet Dakiki in the 10th century had written about 1,000 verses based on a book now known as the Shahnameh of Abu Mansuri, named after its patron Abu Mansur. However, Dakiki was killed by his slave before he could complete it. As a result, Ferdowsi transformed Dakiki's prose into poetry and continued the story from where Dakiki had left off, with the support of his Samanid patrons. The Shahnameh is divided into 3 main sections: the mythological, heroic and historical periods. The first section begins with the creation of the world and the reign of Kayumars, the first human king, and moves through famous stories such as the tale of Zahak Kaveh the blacksmith, and the rule of Jamshid, son of Tamath, who falls from the divine favor. The book then progresses to the heroic age, where the most popular and recognized tales unfold, especially the rivalry between the Iranians and the Turanians in Central Asia. Ferdowsi refers to the Turanians as Turks, due to the presence of Turkic people in the region during his time. However, the Turanians are actually portrayed as Iranian tribes who are in conflict with sedentary Iranians. According to scholars, the conflict between Iran and Turan is essentially a historic rivalry among different branches of the Iranian people. One of the central figures in the Shahnameh is the legendary hero Rustam, who fights against demons and kings, completing the famous 7 labors. One of the most tragic moments in the epic is when Rustam unknowingly kills his son, Sohrab, a moment that epitomizes the sorrowful fate in Persian literature. The story of Siavash is another key tale where Siavash, a young prince, undergoes a trial by fire to prove his innocence after being falsely accused by his stepmother, the treacherous Sudabe. Although Ferdowsi's early life was full of support, he did not experience a happy ending. Before completing the Shahnameh, the Samanid supporters who had supported him were overthrown by the Ghaznavid Turks. Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni initially supported Ferdowsi, but later broke his promises. Ultimately, Mahmud sent 60,000 dinars in appreciation, but by then it was too late. Ferdowsi had passed away. Today, Ferdowsi is regarded with the same respect as great figures like Cyrus the Great. He is celebrated as the savior of the Persian language, and many consider him to have preserved the Persian cultural heritage for future generations. His works continue to influence not only Iranian culture but also global literary traditions. Malik al-Shu'ara Baha Ferdowsi strengthened the backbone of the Iranians, opened their hearts and established their steps in the path of virtue, courage and pride. Mojtaba Minui. The Persian language became the medium for uniting Iranian tribes, and the Shahnameh enriched and reinforced the Persian language to the point where forgetting it or losing it became impossible. Habib Yaghmai. If all the wealth of Iran from the time of Mahmud of Ghazni to the present were weighed in one scale, and the Shahnameh of Ferdowsi in the other, the latter would undoubtedly outweigh it in the eyes of the wise and learned. Ferdowsi and the Shahnameh have had profound cultural and artistic impacts both in Iran and internationally. These adaptations span various forms, including literature, theatre, cinema and visual arts, all contributing to the global appreciation of Ferdowsi's work. The Shahnameh inspired many poets and writers, both in Iran and abroad. Many great Persian poets, such as Nezami, Khaghani, Rumi and Saadi, were directly or indirectly influenced by the Shahnameh. Stories from the epic, such as those of Rustam and Sohrab, have been translated and rewritten in multiple languages. Traditional Iranian performances like storytelling, nakali, and taziyah, religious theatre, were heavily influenced by the stories of the Shahnameh. Contemporary playwrights and directors have also created plays and films based on its stories. The Shahnameh has been a major source of inspiration for Persian painters. Illuminated manuscripts such as and depict scenes from the epic with vibrant imagery of heroic battles, majestic kings and mythical creatures. In the name of the merciful God. In the name of God, the Lord of the sun and the moon, the Lord of existence and truth, the Lord of Saturn, Venus and the sun. From him comes the concept of time. From the revolving sun to the earth's dark soil, all the heavens bear witness to his glory. The strength of man and the art of war are from him. Praise be to God, the Lord of the seven heavens. Our Lord is everlasting and joyful, with a heart full of joy and a crown that reaches high. Night and day I offer praises. Learn the teachings of Ferdowsi from this moment onward. I write this book under his command. They said before him, the great ones, one by one. This memorable legacy became known to the world when the general heard their words. Now I return to the beginning of the work. The heart, by his name, was given the path of wisdom. He does not want your error or imperfection, for from him comes hope, fear and promise. He marks the essence of existence. The water and fire give you life and acquaintance. Wisdom, reason and culture are from him. Such a king I saw in the world. His wisdom should prosper his soul. A bad mind deserves punishment. This just king of the earth speaks pure and pleasing words, as he wishes, for the soul and heart. The Shahnameh of Ferdowsi is like a vast ocean that encompasses the entire civilization of the world, especially Iran, from 3,000 years ago. Each wave of this ocean represents a part of the qualities and crafts of that time, depicted so vividly that the reader can almost feel as if they were present at those events. During reading, one often feels emotions like anger, laughter and sometimes hatred, and in general one is immersed in courage and bravery, feelings that may not arise with the same intensity in other situations. While the waves of the Shahnameh may belong to separate fields, they often intersect and skillfully retain the specific characteristics of each. Themes such as monotheism, religions, the principles of war, love, wisdom, philosophy, history, geography, literature, medicine, law, physiognomy, social sciences and more are all found within a single story or idea. A reader with a clear and discerning mind could discuss any of these aspects at length by referring to the Shahnameh. It is essential for anyone diving into this sea to first determine their subject of study and then use the proper tools to find their treasures, so that when they discover the pearls, they can present them to others with precision and care. One of the most important tools for diving is a thorough understanding of the nature and characteristics of the subject being studied. Without this knowledge, not only would one not achieve any results, but the valuable pearls would be ruined and lost in the depths of the sea. This would be considered a great injustice to the sea and the diver. In the same way, I have focused most of my studies and research on military science, and it seemed best to me to dedicate my efforts to a topic that aligns with my area of expertise, so that I can appropriately extract a valuable pearl from this vast sea and present it properly to the world. This is the first volume of a series entitled The Command of God, the Generalship of Ferdowsi. I kindly request that the esteemed scholars who read this work look upon any errors or mistakes that might be outside the scope of my expertise with understanding and attention. I would appreciate it if they directly inform me of any such errors so that they may be corrected in future volumes. During my study of the Shahnameh, and while compiling these books, I have not followed any existing theories or guesses about this great historical figure. What I present here is my understanding and interpretation. The selected verses included in this book have been chosen not based on the arrangement in various manuscripts of the Shahnameh, but according to the thematic relevance to the subject at hand. Also, I have not spent time debating the discrepancies in wording between different text versions, as it is unclear which version is definitively correct. The aim here is to capture Ferdowsi's work's true meaning, regardless of minor differences between texts. I ask readers to read these words with attention and reflection. I encourage you to dedicate at least a half-minute to each verse or line to fully absorb its meaning, ensuring that the essence of Ferdowsi's message and my intention in this book are clearly understood. Tehran, 1313 SH or 1934. While the overwhelming enthusiasm of the civilized nations in the 1000th anniversary celebrations of Ferdowsi clearly shows that his greatness is recognized worldwide, there has been a lack of proper understanding regarding his true significance. Scholars and dignitaries from distant lands attended these celebrations, but this is the first time that the true nature of his contributions is being addressed in detail. While many have praised Ferdowsi as a great poet, philosopher, or restorer of the Persian language, these qualities only represent a fraction of his true legacy. His greatest contribution, in fact, is his military genius, his ability as a commander. In this book, for the first time, I aim to introduce Ferdowsi as a great military leader, wielding his sword of valor and leading an army with brilliance. This is his true significance, and it deserves recognition worldwide. It should not be assumed that wearing a military uniform automatically makes someone a commander. Leadership in the military is an innate talent, as Ferdowsi himself expressed in his writings. Through perseverance and training, this natural talent can be developed. It is evident to me from my studies of Ferdowsi that he was a brilliant military commander, one of the greatest in history. As a result of this insight, I firmly believe that his contributions, particularly in military leadership, deserve recognition worldwide, especially in his homeland, Iran, where he was born. This study will delve into Ferdowsi's unique approach to military leadership, highlighting his contributions to the art of war, strategy and leadership. These contributions set him apart as a truly exceptional figure in world history. This first volume is dedicated to presenting Ferdowsi as a military leader, and I hope it will serve as the beginning of a deeper appreciation for his multifaceted genius. The text begins by discussing an inherent trait of leadership, presumably commandership, that is described as being linked to the possession of knowledge, wisdom, and the ability to influence others. It argues that such traits are found in Ferdowsi, especially his ability to define eternal principles of war. First reason, it praises Ferdowsi's ability to create comprehensive military strategies that still hold relevance after nearly 1,000 years, which is, well, a remarkable achievement. Second reason, the writer claims that Ferdowsi uniquely conveyed military laws and principles engagingly through stories and poems, making them accessible and memorable. Third reason, despite the lack of warfare technology, Ferdowsi is said to have created military strategies adaptable to any era, including the modern one with advanced weapons. Fourth reason, the text emphasizes Ferdowsi's unparalleled influence over his subordinates, cultivating a spirit of courage, sacrifice, and patriotism among them. The text references how ancient tribes, using basic tools, could defeat much better equipped foreign forces by following the military principles in Ferdowsi's Shahnameh. Ferdowsi suggests that Ferdowsi's military genius should be formally recognized and included in modern military teachings, equating him with other famous military leaders like Napoleon and Frederick the Great. If truth is present as an inherent divine trait in an existing being, it holds that all the extraordinary qualities claimed would have no need for any other characteristics, which would be considered secondary. Commanding means exerting power and spiritual influence over others, which inherently requires that one possesses knowledge and wisdom to make such claims. Now, I shall prove my claim, which is Ferdowsi is the greatest military commander in the world by offering detailed explanations derived from my deep study of his works. First reason, which of the great commanders of history can be shown to have given comprehensive and precise military orders like Ferdowsi's, which still hold strong, are effective, and remain the key to success in war after almost 1,000 years. Second reason, which great military commander in history has used enchanting stories and poetry to explain and teach the eternal principles and laws of war? Third reason, which commander has established and formulated rules of war during an era of swords, arrows and shields that are still applicable and effective in the modern age of cannons, tanks and chemical warfare? Ferdowsi's enduring influence on military tactics is a testament to his timeless wisdom and strategic brilliance, enlightening us about the adaptability of his principles in the ever-evolving battlefield. Fourth reason, which commander has had the ability to influence and inspire such courage and self-sacrifice in his subordinates for the protection of the nation, land and honor, as Ferdowsi did? Ferdowsi, with great clarity and simplicity, has taught the eternal laws of war. Those who followed his teachings won significant battles with limited resources, often defeating enemies who outnumbered them and had superior weaponry. Ferdowsi's military command. Ferdowsi, at the age of 30, served in the army and was undoubtedly one of the most notable warriors of his time. He even lamented the loss of his youthful strength as he grew older, mentioning his hair turning grey, which he likened to the withering of a warrior's physical capabilities over time. But as time passed, his intellectual and creative prowess remained sharp, and his poetic skills continued to sharpen, particularly in his later years. He spoke of the sword's power and its symbolism in the poem, where his youthful strength and the sword's sharpness metaphorically matched each other. Despite his aging, Ferdowsi's intellectual force, the sharpness of the sword, never dulled. Ferdowsi's role in military theory. Ferdowsi's military expertise is not confined to his poetry, but it also extends to shaping military theory. His masterful descriptions of warfare strategies, battlefield formations, and the conduct of warriors in his poetry have been a source of inspiration for modern military manuals, thereby highlighting his foresight in military tactics and educating us about his significant role in military theory. The passage also references how Ferdowsi's wisdom was applied by various tribes in historical battles, who with minimal resources and outdated weapons consistently defeated much larger and better equipped European forces. This not only underscores Ferdowsi's strategic acumen, but also inspires awe at the notion that his principles from the Shahnameh might have been unknowingly passed down and utilized in military strategies, even by European generals like Napoleon and others. The text emphasizes Ferdowsi's lasting impact on military leadership and his unparalleled insight into warfare, which has stood the test of time. He is hailed not only for his cultural and literary contributions, but for his deep understanding of war.